Hi everyone, my name is Billie. I'm one of the hate crime, one of the hate crime caseworkers at GALOP, which is the anti-violence LGBT charity. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about hate crime. I'm sure you've had a lot of it by now, the impact of hate crime and our recent hate crime report. So, other way around. There we are. So at GALOP, we offer a wide variety of support and assistance regarding hate crime, domestic abuse and sexual violence to LGBT people. And we also do a lot of policy and research. That's kind of us in a very quick nutshell. A little bit of history about us. We were established around 30, 40 years ago by a group of lawyers who were supporting gay men who were being targeted by the police, because there was a lot of kind of community tension at that time. Over time, we've developed, we've evolved, we've listened to the LGBT community, and we've now become victim-focused against LGBT victims of violence and abuse. So I wanted to show you a bit of data. This is recent data by the Home Office about the escalation in recorded hate crimes across all 5 strands of hate crime. In particular, we've seen an increase in transphobia with 37% and sexual orientation by 25%. And disability, it should be a lot higher, but it's just not captured correctly. So the Metropolitan Police have some recorded offences, and we are seeing an increase in people reporting hate crime. Now, this is for a variety of different reasons. The fact that people are becoming more aware of what hate crime is, it's kind of more accessible, or it's trying to be more accessible, and the implementation of third-party reporting centres. However, while this is a factor in why we are seeing an increase in hate crime, it's not the only reason. We are currently seeing a change in attitudes towards LGBT people. In the GALOP hate crime team alone, we've seen an influx of cases that are increasing in violence and severity. London Pride last year, I think it was the largest Pride, that might be wrong, but it was amazing to go to. It was amazing support leading up to it, being able to walk around the whole of London, seeing rainbows everywhere and being able to get a rainbow BLT sandwich. But people now think, because we've got the rainbow BLT sandwich and we've got marriage and things like that, that the fight's over. But what people forget about is that at London Pride last year, there was an attempt that was of 2 people who tried to get in a car and run down a load of the marchers, and they were arrested by the police. And that is still happening. Which leads me on to, what are the attitudes driving LGBT hate crime? We recently did a report where we went around the whole of the UK and we asked a load of people. And the results that we got from this report was that 1 in 10 felt that LGBT people are dangerous to other people. 1 in 10 felt that LGBT people can be cured. Nearly 1 in 5 people said that LGBT was immoral or against their beliefs. Now, the worrying one that we saw was this rose to 1 in 4 among young people. Traditionally speaking, and this age bracket was 18 to 25. So traditionally speaking, this age bracket, they are very strong supporters of the LGBT community. And this is a very worrying statistic because it shows that we do have a rocky road ahead of us. Ooh. As mentioned, we are seeing a greater level of violence. The Metropolitan Police data shows that anti-LGBT hate crimes involve higher levels of violence than any other type of hate crime. 6% of victims of homophobic hate crime experienced moderate to severe injuries, and this is in relation to 1% of religious hate crime victims and 2% of racial hate crime. And again, it's difficult to generalise transphobia and disability because it's just so under-recorded and reported. And that brings me on to reporting. On a survey done of 100,000 LGBT people, 91% of LGBT people did not report the most serious hate crime they'd experienced in the last 12 months. And low reporting extended to more serious incidents such as physical violence. Oh, losing my slides. So, what are the impacts of hate crime? Well, hate crime, as I'm sure you're all aware by this point, is unlike any other crime out there. It's deeply personal. It's not like having your bag nicked by an opportunistic thief. Someone has taken one look at you, perceived you to be a certain way, to hold a certain characteristic, and has gone out to commit crime against you. And this means that victims of hate crime are twice as likely to face serious emotional impact compared to people who experience crime in general. Most LGBT people avoid holding hands in public for fear of a negative reaction. And also on top of that as well, most trans people avoid being open about their gender identity in order to lower the risk of experiencing transphobic abuse. Just gonna take a bit of water at this point. Okay. Oh, so a little case study. B&J. They were two clients of mine, two elderly clients. They came into our service due to a homophobic neighbour who was constantly victimizing them. It was just constant abuse. It was non-stop. The impact that this had on them was they couldn't leave their house without being shouted at. They couldn't have friends over for fear of them being shouted at too. Their confidence just dropped. Their quality of life was heavily impacted. I think B ended up developing a severe anxiety disorder and had to go on medication for all of this, on top of all their other health conditions. And they just stopped going outside. So the support that we offered, we did a lot of housing advocacy, helping them make reports. GALOP is independent of the police, but we do work heavily alongside them. So we were able to give them a hand reporting the stuff that was going on. We were representing them at multi-agency panels with other statutory agencies there, like housing, the police, other services, making sure that their voices were heard as victims of hate crime. And eventually the case managed to get to court, which was brilliant. On the day at court, I attended with them. I made sure that B&J had someone with them on the stand, made them lots of cups of tea, just making sure they were okay. Unfortunately, we got a negative impact, we had a negative outcome at court. The perpetrator was unfit to plea, so therefore no charges were held against them. However, because of the work that was done by GALOP and the work that was done by the victims of ensuring that there was piles and piles of evidence of this hate crime happening constantly, the perpetrator was moved. She was put into somewhere that could help her because she also had some poor mental health issues. And this now meant that kind of both sides of the story were supported. But it is important to note that GALOP will stick with clients before, during and after, even if you do have a negative outcome in court, or even if it doesn't get to court. So, I want to talk to you about a handy little resource. I saw that Stop Hate UK have some of them. I don't know who's that stall is, but thank you. This is a cool little guide. It's a hate crime guide for LGBT people. It's got all your rights and entitlements in it. It has what to do if you're ever in a situation like that, the support that you can get, and also a lot of what the language means, because the criminal justice system it's not accessible sometimes. So I've only got like 3 with me, but we have loads and loads and loads of resources on our website that are completely free, and this is on there too. So yeah, please do have a look. This is how you can refer to us or get in contact. You can also grab me for a chat as well if you like. But yeah, check us out. And I know that there are questions at the end. So yeah, thank you very much.